Hey everyone, this is Virtually Inspired, the show that is all about helping you up your game when it comes to virtual experience design and facilitation. My goal is to give you inspiration and practical tips so together we can change the landscape of virtual from awful to awesome. My name is Melissa Dinwiddie, and I infuse connection, joy, and delight into virtual trainings and events. Welcome. My guest today is Michelle Clarke of Motive Coach, who is a seasoned global leadership and improv coach who secured her first coaching qualification in South Africa in 2005. And she hasn't stopped studying since. She's passionate about technology and the gift it offers in reaching clients across the globe. So it's no surprise that Michelle has been working from her laptop for the past several years with English-speaking clients in Africa, the Americas, Canada, Europe, and Australia. Yes, and she teaches improv, building radical confidence in individuals and teams. Welcome, Michelle. So glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. You said that with such energy and joy. Thank you. I appreciate it. Respect.
Oh, thank you. Well, I have to first before we I know you have some gentle activities to share, but before we get to this, I wanted to ask you, what exactly is radical confidence? I love that term.
Yeah, I love the term too, right? And I noticed on your LinkedIn this week when you said we were going to do this interview, somebody said, what is radical confidence? And I love it. Somehow I seem to think that radical confidence was something many of us had before COVID. And we were able to generate that radical confidence because we were in each other's energetic fields. And it really is about a confidence that's sustained, especially in a team, where a team trusts each other, they have each other's back, much like an improv team, but a working team who allows mistakes, who sees failure as gifts. This can create a really radically confident team that is able to innovate and take chances together.
I love that. That makes so much sense to me when I think about the improv teams that I have performed with, that played with. That makes so much sense to me, and it's so timely too, since I am doing a workshop. One of my learning labs is on failure this week in 2 days on Thursday.
Beautiful.
It's all on failure because of that exact concept that we need to be able to lean into failure and embrace those mistakes, because of course, as you and I both know, that's where the best gifts come from.
Right. We just weave those mistakes right into the work we do.
Right.
And if we did that, not as you're saying, not only with an improv group, but if we did that in our working teams, take that mistake and weave it right on in, justify it, and make it look like a beautiful gift, that just builds confidence in all the individuals and in the team, right?
Oh my God, absolutely. Can you imagine if we all walked around knowing that any mistake that happens we're going to turn that into some kind of a gift rather than like, oh my God, what a disaster, which is kind of how many of us have been programmed, right? From a fairly young age. Like, we have to get everything right.
Yeah. And I know this is your interview, but I can't help but want to interview you back and ask if your workshop on failure is somehow related to psychological safety, because I know you have an interest in that area.
I am definitely interested in psychological safety, and I feel like every activity that I do is so much about you have to have psychological safety in order to do so much of the work that we do. Don't you feel that way? That if the psychological safety isn't there, then the activities that we do, they can't, the foundation isn't there in order to do those activities, and the foundation isn't there in order to work together as a team.
Well, I think that's the point, right? In a psychologically safe environment, that's where the mistakes are embraced and celebrated. It's in the psychologically unsafe environment that people have a fear of making mistakes, which leads to the opposite of the confidence, right? Yeah.
You said it. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. Absolutely. So I know you brought some activities to share, so bring them on.
So let me contextualize them if I can.
Yeah.
Before pre-COVID, I was teaching improv in classrooms and in the workplace. And obviously, as many of us did, brought that all online in the last 2 years. To such an extent, I was having so much fun doing improv online that I quite started to border on, I don't want to say burnout, but super lack of energy. So this year I've toned it down a lot and I'm not screaming into my computer screen as much as I used to, but rather working with leadership groups and really listening to what some of the leaders that I'm working with in coaching are telling me. And I'd like to share a quick story. For example, one of the leaders that I'm coaching was sharing with me that one of her highest values is physical fitness, physical well-being. And she's in back-to-back online meetings all day long without even an opportunity to stretch. This is how she shared it with me. The meetings are 2 hours long. If she takes 5 minutes to stretch, she's late for the meeting. That's not cool. She's the leader. So I'm like, what about stretching in the meeting? You're leading the meeting. It's a 2-hour meeting. What about at 5 minutes to the hour, you invite everybody to just do a stretch, copy each other's stretch. In fact, you can now extend it to 10 minutes because you're the leader and everybody can stretch together and we can fulfill this value that she'd like to keep, which is getting up and moving regularly.
Brilliant.
So I am starting to encourage people, what are you doing in your Zoom meetings? What are you doing in respect of movement? And I've been extremely touched this year by reading a book called Training from the Back of the Room. Maybe some of your audience knows the book. And in that book, the author is quite clear that information is going to land better. And there's some kind of increment to it. It's like 10 minutes of information, 10 minutes of activity, movement. And that formula should be followed with regularity, movement. And even with us being online, and you can see I'm permanently moving while I'm online, we should be encouraging movement, right? So I'd like to offer that, stretching, moving, dancing. You and I know the various things that we can do to create movement online. I'm sure that you do the same in your meetings, is encourage that physical movement. I'm looking at my very professional cheat sheet here, everybody.
I'm impressed that it's analog.
Thank you. Thank you. The other thing I really like to do in my meetings, and perhaps everybody is doing this now, although in the recent 2 weeks, I've attended some meetings where none of this was going on. And one of the things is simply a name change. So it's, hello everybody and welcome to the meeting. Please put a positive adjective before your name that is spelled with the same letter as your name.
I love it.
And what will that do to the vibe of the meeting and the participants in it?
Let's see, I'm going to do that right now.
I'll join you. Oh, we've got the same name, so now we might have a bit of a run on our adjectives. Except that, let me just see if I even understand what that word means. Wow.
It was the first thing that popped in my head.
I want to say Mila Flowers because I'm learning Spanish, but it's not Mila Flowers. What is Mila Flowers?
Mellifluous. Oh, so we're completely substituting it for your first name.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Works just as well, whatever you've done.
I just have to find the right place. I keep looking at the place where it's supposed to be for Zoom, but this isn't Zoom. So, okay, there we go. Mellifluous Dinwiddie.
And mellifluous, is that a creation of your own?
No, and you're going to ask me what it means, and it's like I have menopause brain, so it's
Okay.
but it's like sound wise, it's like it sounds very. Oh, now I'm going to come off sounding so stupid because I'm not going to be able to.
Remember, there are no mistakes, no stupidity.
Yeah,
we love it all.
We love it all. We love it. We love my. It's the opposite of. It's mellifluous. It's a word that sounds like it is. It's mellifluous.
Wow.
I'm going to look it up now. I'm going to look it up. Definition.
Thank you. And what a beautiful opportunity presented because you used an unusual word.
Sweet or musical, pleasant to hear. There we go.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. And if we had 5 or 10 people in a meeting, each using extraordinary language as you just have, we've got interaction, connection, and opportunity to find out the what and the why of everything. So it's reasons to connect, right? Name changes.
That's a new one. I've done lots of different name changes, like, oh, how you feel right now combined with the last thing that you ate, or have you done that one before? That's to me, because I've been in a bunch of different, I don't know, workshops or something where people have done that one. That feels like, oh, that's so 2020, just because I've been in sessions where lots of people have done that one. So it seems like, oh, everyone's done that one. But so I've done that one. And then I've done rename yourself with the first word that springs to mind when I say, and then you say any random word. And yeah, and that one's really fun because then you can throw a random word into the room and everybody renames themselves, and then throw another random word into the room and everybody renames themselves again, and you take a moment to observe what are all the because everybody's going to come up with a different word. But what's the first word that comes to mind when I say the word pickle, for example? And everybody renames themselves, and maybe, oh, look, 2 people renamed themselves as dill, and 3 people renamed themselves as whatever, but everybody else was different. Isn't that interesting? And then you throw out a new word, and then you throw out a new word, and it's a great little, just like this one, is a great little team building activity, and there's stories in the words and stuff, but you can also use it as a nice little sort of debriefing closer. So you start off with random words that are sort of fun and silly, but then you can do, at the end of a workshop, you start off with that, and then to close the workshop out, now rename yourself with the first thing that comes to mind when I say the word leadership, or whatever the theme of your workshop is, and then it sort of wraps everything up. Isn't that cool?
You have just given me content for my workshop I'm delivering tomorrow with my new cohort of coaches. Yay! So I can see an opportunity to end it by saying, what do you now think about what coaching is? Please rename yourself. Love it. Thank you. Interesting that you mentioned that the end of the meeting, what I understand is, I'm sure you do, that the 2 parts of any meeting that are the most critical are that beginning piece and the end piece. And I find it interesting after 2 years of being online that I still enter into meetings and nothing's happening. The first piece is a lost opportunity, right? Yeah, people are still on their emails and...
Yes, I was just giving a presentation on this very thing at a summit today.
Wow, right?
Yeah.
So those key pieces, the beginning connection piece and the end summary debrief piece.
Yes.
Yeah. Love it. And Melissa, in your work, do you use or co-create rituals with the people in your meetings?
Yes, and I'm curious what kinds of rituals you use in your work.
Okay. So the one I like very much is simply this. You and I are beside one another and not above one another, as happens often on Zoom, but it's simply to place your hands at the bottom of your computer window and imagine that you've now got your hands on the shoulders of the person in front of you, and you're going to start to give them a massage because it's been a tough week. And you, of course, can use any of your massage techniques, and you can feel the person behind you giving you a massage. And to me, that's just a beautiful, fun, loving way of connecting in the massage space.
I love that. That is so nice. Oh my gosh. There's something really kind of amazing about how the act of imagining that giving a massage to somebody and imagining that you're receiving a massage is really very, I don't know, it's very relaxing. It's really,
and tactile.
it's very tactile and it's very connected.
Right?
I love that.
Yeah. And in one of the last year, I what did I do? I hosted, maybe that's the right word, a beautiful product which with some beautiful people, which was a combination of a mastermind and improv. So we'd come together as a group, intent on helping one person to think about what they needed to think about. We call that the hot seat. And then the rest, and once we'd heard what it is they were trying to achieve, the rest of us would start to co-create a game or co-create an exercise tailor-made for them in particular. Super product. And in that group, we co-created our rituals. So it was like, hey, Melissa, what is a ritual you'd like to do and when will that ritual happen? And we were connecting for 6 weeks. So every time you wanted for us to do that thing, you would make that sound or make that command, and we'd all do whatever ritual it was that we had designed that was Melissa's ritual.
Oh my gosh, how amazing.
Yeah, great fun.
I love that.
Yeah. What else can I share today? Where is your curiosity leading you?
Before we move on, I'm really curious, what were some of the different rituals that people came up with?
Rachel in the UK had us go and grab the most unusual statuette or ornament if we didn't have a statuette, and we had to bring it to the screen and rub its tummy, and we had to say, today is a good day. And I don't remember what the cue was for it, but it was like, Rachel says today's a good day, and we'd all get up, go run, get our thing, come back and rub its tummy and say, today is a good day.
Oh my God, that's great.
And it's quite fun when the group is making it up for themselves, right? So it's a true co-creation.
Wow. So just randomly at any time, somebody would just say their cue?
Yep. Say their cue, and we would drop what we were doing and go and come back and do the ritual that was asked of us.
That is so delightful.
Yeah. And I'm interested, actually, I'm now thinking how that impacts the psychology of a group, because there is an agreement, an explicit agreement that we're going to do this thing whenever you call on us to do this thing. Yeah. And not one of us is going to go, no, I don't want to play, or and that sense of support is huge.
Yeah.
I think in a team.
Yeah, that's very, very yes and.
Right. I'm not sure what else I've got for us today. Where's your curiosity taking us? What can I ask you?
Well, I'm really curious about this group that you ran, this mastermind. Tell me a little bit more about this. how you came up with this idea, what so this was for just tell me a little bit more about it.
Okay. So in the previous 2 years, I created 3 products that built upon one another. The first product was Improv Train the Trainer, and that I have a large network of coaches and facilitators, people who do the same work as I do, most of whom were working in person at the time of our COVID hit. And many of them had to come online without any of the skills that I had the good fortune, just because I'd had some time prior to them to do this work. So that was helping them to develop a toolkit that they could use to bring fun and bring ritual and bring energy into meetings. Then I got this bee in my bonnet that now they had this toolkit, but they had never practiced improv. So my Improv Train the Trainer level 2 was that we put on an improv show. And that was very exciting for me because nobody had experience. I think we had 2 or 3 people who were experienced. The rest were beginners, coaches, facilitators, people of my age and up and around. And we put on an improv show, a self-organized, self-coordinated team. My role was pretty hands-off. And that was an exciting thing. And then I don't know how I decided it should be in this order. I improved. And the third of those products, Improv Train the Trainer level 3, was a mastermind. And the idea was there that each person had their own particular client populations, particular context, messaging, training that they wanted to offer. And so nothing was a one-size-fits-all. And we would come together as a group committed to helping every person in that group to design some workshop exercises specifically for their context.
Beautiful.
So we had, we had a coach who teaches people about money empowerment, and together as a group, we helped her to design a weekend all online, full of very exciting activities and so on for everybody in the group.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. So what are you excited about right now? What are you working on these days?
Well, I have so recently, like 3 days ago, certified, in fact, in something called psychologically safe leadership.
Oh, wow.
I was driven to this because I had an experience last year of being in a very horrible situation with a not psychologically safe leader. And I love how life works because there are no mistakes. I had a crappy situation and it drove me to study something that I lapped up like a horse at water. And I am very much thinking, and will work with you and my network, thank you, to help create how we can use improv to bring across not just how to create psychological safety, but what leaders in a psychologically safe environment have to demonstrate and how they have to show up in order to ensure that that space is a success. So I'm super excited about that, actually. And I'm one of these people, if I study it, I want to teach it. Qualified yesterday, I want to teach it tomorrow so that it stays, so that it embeds within me. So hopefully coming up in the next few months, I'll have my fingers in that pie. So that'll be exciting.
Wow, that sounds fantastic.
Ah, thank you, Mellifluous.
Oh my gosh, yes, I should probably change my name back so that people will know who the heck I actually am.
Oh, but I love it. I love it. What are you excited about?
What am I excited about? You know, I just was telling you just before we started the show that I just finished this big project today where I was emceeing a summit, which was a new thing for me. That's the first time I'd actually, I mean, I've done, I've facilitated a lot, and I've, presented, but this was the first time I officially played the Master of Ceremonies for a big event like that.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, and I have to say I was kind of nervous because, just because the skill set was not anything different from what I have done before, but I guess just because I felt the weight of responsibility, and because it was
Wow.
a new, it was like a new title. I'm going to be emceeing this summit, and
Wow.
so I felt this big weight of responsibility, and it was quite interesting to me how I leaned into this, how I to notice how I respond internally when I'm given a new role to fill, and I always react in a certain way,
Mm.
and I always get very nervous internally.
Mm.
And I really
Wow.
enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, so I think I'm excited about seeing what the possibilities are for
Ah,
doing
wow.
more of that kind of work, and, yeah, where that might lead.
Boom, as I would say to my coaching client when they did something brilliant. You're a rock star. You take on something, you say yes, you get nervous, and you lean in. It's amazing. Nice
I
work.
can't. I always I say yes, and then I panic, and then I do it
Yeah.
anyway, and then I go, "Oh, yeah, I can do this."
Well done.
After all the panic,
Beautiful.
you know?
Yeah, I hear you.
So, yeah, but it went really
I hear you.
well. It went really well, and people seem to appreciate what I did, so that was cool. So now
Well
I
done.
don't feel nervous about doing another similar type of gig, because it's like, "Oh, yeah, I did that."
Right? You've stretched, right? And
I have
there's no
stretched.
returning after the stretch. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited to see where that might possibly go.
I'm excited too. I'm going to be watching with
We'll
much
see,
curiosity.
It's interesting where life takes you. So every month, I lead a 1 hour learning lab. It's a 1 hour workshop where I teach a couple of activities, hands-on activities, kind of similar to the kinds of things that my guests share on this LinkedIn Live show. And they're always themed around a different theme. And so this month, the theme is failure, as I was mentioning earlier today. So it's all about kind of like leaning into, yes, it's okay to make mistakes, and deprogramming our perfectionism that we've been, so many of us, like me, got programmed into us from a young age. So I'll be teaching some activities, some of my sort of favorite one. Let's see, I'm trying to remember what the activities are. Some favorites, and one maybe favorite, and one that's sort of a new one. I call it a learning lab because it's an experimental setting. It's not a test. It's an experiment. It's a place where we play an experiment, and they tend to be very improv based. So it's very, come with a fun play, get your hands dirty and let's have fun mindset. Yeah, exactly, like Michelle is doing there. And if you haven't been to a lab before, you can come to the first one for free using the code first timer right there, right there. And if you have come before, invite a friend to come for free using that code first timer. So hope to see you. The next one is on Thursday, March 17th. And Michelle, how can people find you? Look, there's a ticker.
Oh, look at that. Ba, 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 ba. That's my website, motivecoach.com, and that leads people to all my social media sites and my email address if they would like to be in touch. Thank you, Melissa.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, it's just been a delight to have you, Michelle. For those who I didn't share right up front, I know Michelle through the Applied Improvisation Network, and we see each other fairly frequently at the Friday Open Space event. And it has been a delight to get to know Michelle over the past couple of years, especially since the pandemic, where we've gotten to interact. And I really, really appreciate you coming and sharing your wisdom and your activities. And I'd love to have you back anytime.
Melissa, thank you so much. It's always a joy being in your energy and your space. I hold mucho respect for you and the work you do. So thank you for the joy you bring to the world.
Oh, back at you, Michelle. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. And I'll see you next time when my guest will be Jude Treader-Wolf, who is a singer-songwriter, storyteller, improviser, writer, and performer. She is the host and creator of Mostly True Things, a game wrapped in a storytelling show that features true stories with a twist that grew into a monthly cultural event at venues on Long Island and New York City and travels to communities around the country. So come back in 2 weeks when she will be my guest. And thank you again, Michelle, and thanks everybody. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell to get video updates. Thanks.